What's up, studs? Canal here. Bulls on Wall Street. Holy mackerel, we have, officially the bear market of 2024 lasted for 5 days, and we are, officially back over the 50-day moving average and right back into this kind of longer-term range. We are getting a little bit overbought and entering some levels of supply. But overall, the price action was, fantastic today. We had a steady bid in the market all day. If you're looking at the QQQs, like there was just a steady bid all day. You had like a small dump here for a second and then just bought up and just real steady. There was action all over the place, which is all you can ask for, right, as day traders, short-term traders. There was heat in semiconductors across the board, ARM, NVIDIA, and, a big upgrade on MU by Baird, kind of set things off. And so, MU gapped up, and then the rest of them just started to go one after another. Even old AMD caught a bid today, and that's, this thing has been really left for dead. So, overall, positive day in the markets, led by, once again, right, your AI semiconductor complex. And we had some other names also going. So it was pretty good in terms of just a little bit of a broad base. And we've had a really nice run in the market. You can see market breadth is very steadily improving. If you're looking at the T210, we got almost to the oversold, and now we're kind of back into more bullish territory. We had 496 breakouts, 400 the day before, 450, right before that. So what you can see here, this, right, versus this is you've got a steady improvement in market breadth, right? Breakouts versus breakdowns. I think that's important too. And we can see that just by, right, how the action is in the IWM, which is also remounted the 50-day moving average. And it is stuck in range, and it's been stuck in range for, years now at this point. But it is, the last, I would say, 10 days, minus a couple red days, it's been acting much more bullish, and that's been leading to some speculative fever, in the market. You're seeing a lot more stocks move versus just your typical semiconductor. So let's take a look at the watch list for tomorrow, and let's go, have some fun, and don't get carried away. I would not be surprised if the market had a decent-sized gap up tomorrow, that we get at least an opening gap fade, maybe and retest back down into this 50-day moving average. That's if we gap up tomorrow. If we have a weak open, we're probably going red to green, just judging by the way the market has been acting. But if we had like a decent-sized gap up, say we gapped up like 1% or something like that, which we often do, right? This year has been the year of the fucking gaps. So if we gap up like 1%, then we probably got to fade that gap. And then once the gap fills, we start looking deeper to see if maybe we got to flip it back long or something like that. So tomorrow will be a little bit tricky. If we start to see like a big gap, we're going to have to be really careful. But if we don't, say we get a weak open, a flat open, I think that there's a lot of good looking, right, nice looking stocks that are out there. Commodities are really starting to look pretty good here. The favorite out of the group is, CCJ. This has pretty darn good range, for commodity stock. It's pretty liquid. So this one, man, a red to green, I think sends this thing. We got $51 breakout on this. I'm stalking this EH for days. I don't want to burn you too much time with this because it's not doing anything yet. But with Chinese stocks picking up a bid, right? So you have BABA and PDD and all these kind of moving pretty sharply off lows. I'm thinking this EH gets picked up at some point. We've got pretty much like a 1930, 1950 breakout in the works. It's a pretty low float, so it will spike and kind of do all sorts of games, but it's there here. Watch this GCT. If you get any weakness on this one, it's starting to come out of range. It is day 4 of the move, so I would only hit this if it started to show some weakness and then look for a rebound. If it gaps up, it's just not in the cards. Desperado. This is more of a swing setup. I wouldn't worry about that. You got Hims here, the boner pills and hair stuff. I mean, and they even have like, some other things going on. They got a nice earnings report. Remember the last time they had earnings out, it did grind up for, a couple weeks to a month. Maybe we get something like that again on this earnings report. So let's see how this reacts around tomorrow. We'll go, hey, SoundHound, it's a turd, but 58 million shares in volume. That's when the spec money is coming in, when SoundHound is, right, catching up a bid. So for you small cap lovers, this is probably right up your alley. Not my particular flavor. It's not my tour de jour, but, it is liquid enough, and it's not like too crazy spiky. Like, my old fingers can still dance with the pickle on this one. You got 42-ish breakout, 4150 breakout on pins, and you're kind of clearing up some space over here. I wouldn't be surprised to see it just bust through though and kind of come back, because it's only the second test of resistance. It probably needs a bust through and come back and retest, but it's there. Hey, this RRBK rubric is an IPO, but I believe they're backed by Microsoft, and so you're starting to catch a bid here. It keeps defending at about 32. Let's watch this one and see if it gets any juicier. You've got some clearly defined levels that it's kind of coming out of, and so you got kind of a little bit of a W bottom that's marinating here, and it's a little bit of a hibachi grill just marinating under this 35, and it's almost ready to party. A-Lab, nice. So you had this huge day a couple, last week it looks like, and now you're kind of just marinating right under this, and you're just perking the pickle over here, just priming it, and so you got this kind of test on the 30-minute chart. If it breaks 81, you're probably running into this 86, 87 zone really fast. When it does it, it'll move 6, 7, 8 points really, really quickly. So really like that one too. This app, it needs an inside day. It's right at the breakout spot. I want you to keep it on the watch. It might not be tomorrow. It really ideally needs one inside day here, one rest day, and then it's going to really party. Zim for you kind of ones that like the teeny boppers here. This one, 1375 breakout. You got room to about 15 on this thing. When it gets going, it actually does pick up some steam. 7 million shares in volume, so it does have a nice look. mRNA, after this flat top breakout on earnings, right? You got 2 rest days, 2 inside days post earnings. This is very powerful, if it can come out of this range. Really like the overall look of that. Hey, W, this needs a couple rest days too. Non-stop bid on this the last few days. I've been putting this on the watch list for a few days, but I think you still want to keep it on the watch list, but one rest day, 2 rest days, something like that. And dude, it could start to squeeze, and those shorts are going to start covering. I like that overall look, and it's got like pretty good liquidity, 7 million shares. Out of the big caps, as Google's got a spot here right at 169, 170. I think is a little bit under that, but we're right. We're right in that right in that sweet spot of love right there. If you can get over that, like woo, we got some room to about 174. Then we'll see what's going on here. Tesla, very similar setup to Google, right? Earnings gap, a little bit of a pullback post earnings. Now you're kind of building out a little zone around on that 30-minute chart. UAL, this is probably the best looker out of the group, right? You had an awesome range on this, pretty clean, really liquid. This is when you kind of snapshotting in yourself what you want kind of a flag pattern look like. That one's got it. So keep an eye on that one. And then, another commodity play I'd put on here is this CNX. You got a whole host of these, but this one typically, like if you go back, the reason I added this one is if you go back to about 2022, this is a weekly chart, let's do, right? If you go back to 2022, we're starting to clear out a couple multi-year type of range, about 2 years. Like that's got a little bit of juice on it. Let's see if we get a week open on this. It might even be a swing trade. And then I think the sell H is also right. It's done bottoming out. It's $100. right? Came down to 68, pretty big retracement. Now it's remounting over the 50-day moving average. That's what happens with a lot of these momentum stocks, right? You know, they just get so extended, they got to pull it back, and then they kind of come back out and do all this kind of stuff. Overall, good look. Guys, be careful tomorrow. I do think if we gap up, we're going to have maybe a little bit of trouble. You know, either we gap and grind or we're probably going to gap fill, and then, you know, we'll see what happens after that. So just something to be mindful of. Guys, let me know if you have any questions. I love you guys. Peace.